I'm 24 years old, and I'm from Nigeria, Abuja, and specifically, I'm from the Igbo culture of Nigeria. So, um, I come from a very ethnically um, built background. Like we believe so much in culture. So, in as much as you want to find a relationship or something, just maybe bond with someone, but at the same time, you also have to talk about your culture.
Sure.
So yeah, so I'm from a very Christian home, so like dating was like it was somehow forbidden because yeah, this is Africa. Like you won't want your child to get into a relationship at a very early age. So it was like difficult to tell my mom. Some guys are
Interesting.
so yeah, I just kept to myself. I mostly told my sisters because I'm from a family of seven. So I have a lot of sisters. So I most definitely confided in my sisters than my mom. So yeah, dating. I started dating. I feel I started dating at the age of 17. Yeah, it hasn't been. I didn't start from a very young age, and I'm also single. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you helped answer a question for me because my next question was going to be, if you're single in a relationship. So you're
Okay.
single.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm single, and I've been
okay.
single for 3 years. So
3 years. 3 years.
yeah.
So you said something that I like because there is currently a movement in the United States. The
Yeah.
movement is called the Passport Bros, right? So meaning guys are finding it difficult to find traditional minded women in the US. So they're finding themselves, traveling, going overseas to find a suitable mate that believes in
Yeah.
traditional values. So you
Yeah.
mentioned something, and I want to kind of circle back to that, okay? If that's okay. And that is, you said that you believe in, like, you were very, very skeptical about even mentioning dating at an early age, and you had your first boyfriend at 17. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your thoughts? I guess now, since you've had your first boyfriend at 17, you're single for 3 years, just doing the math, how, what would I say? I guess my question would be, what are your thoughts on early relationships and how many boyfriends have you had, since you had your last relationship 3 years ago?
Yeah. Okay, my thought about relationship. I feel if you're not ready to go into a relationship, don't, because I feel like starting assuming I started dating early, maybe I would have gotten too much experience. I feel relationship has to do with growing with your partner and everything. So if you go all the way from when you are at your youngest age, you are still dating, you are still dating, you are still dating, you are still it becomes so difficult to satisfy um your how will I put it, it becomes difficult to get your partner, because then you have saturated all kinds of men. So I feel like that was what I could take away from my mom, because it was like she will always tell us, um, if you start early to get what you're not supposed to get, when you become older, you get overwhelmed with um all the attention, all the everything, just become overwhelmed with everything. So I feel I kind of took that into my relationship. So yeah. So even if I only dated like three guys.
So you've only had three relationships your whole life?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Mhm.
the first one was actually my longest, two
How long
years.
was
Then
that relationship to?
yeah, it was 2 years. Then
What about the other two relationships?
the other two was within a year. So it didn't actually, yeah, it was within a year. So um
And
I
how old are
feel
you
like
now? Sorry, how
24.
old are you now? 24. Okay, so you had, but that makes sense. If you had your first relationship for 2 years, that takes you to 19, and then you had a year. So and then you
Yeah,
said you've been single how long? three
yeah,
years. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel that choice I made not to really get entangled with a lot of people, it actually kept me in a safer place, because not really like I would want to experience some certain kind of things with my partner. So assuming that I did it earlier, maybe I wouldn't have maybe I wouldn't enjoy what I'm supposed to enjoy maybe when I get older. So I'm just so happy that like I kind of followed the traditional way, because some people like actually call me old fashioned, so I'm cool with that. No problem. This is me. I grew up in a very cultured family, so I feel that really impacted me a lot. So yeah.
I think you're going to have a lot of overwhelming amount of responses from our audience because you're exactly the type of woman that we preach about, right? Meaning a woman who understands that her body count matters, a woman who understands that her ability to pair bond, because that's what you really explain, is your ability to pair bond. When a person pair bonds with multiple people early, and that's what's going on now, there's a lot of a movement where women feel liberated, which is fair enough. Anyone is allowed to do what they want to do. But
Yeah.
women feel liberated, and due to that liberation, they become very promiscuous with their decision making, right? And
Yeah.
when you become promiscuous with your decision making, you pair bond with too many people, and then what that ends up doing to you as a person is it stops you from truly enjoying an experience with someone because you've experienced this with multiple people. And unfortunately, each person has fetishes, if you will, right? Desires, if you will.
Yeah.
And if you are in 10, for example, if you started at 17 and you've had 10 boyfriends at 24, which is kind of the norm now with a lot of these Western women, what that ends up doing is now you've had 10 different experiences and 10 different fetishes that you've had to satisfy. So when you are ready to settle down and meet the person that you would consider a mate or someone you could spend the rest of your life with, well, it's a hard problem now because how are you going to you're going to take those 10 experiences and try to put it in one, and this guy might not be able to give you what guy number 10 was able to give you. Well, now here
Exactly.
comes the problem, right? And now you
Yeah.
start creating infidelity potential. You have insecurities that start coming out. You have women who are not satisfied in their relationship, and that only leads to
Yeah.
more problems. So
I feel that's like one of the things that led to the high divorce rate we have now, because everybody wants to like, okay, I want to experience this, even like when you don't even want to, you know, cheat on your partner. You have friends that do it, so you feel like, okay, let me try this. So it also deals with the kind of cliques you keep around you, because assuming I followed some kind of people, um I like some some kind of groups where while I was growing up, maybe I would have ended up that way. So I feel like the kind of friends you keep also matters a lot. If you're someone that have a whole lot of bunch of like a bunch of girlfriends and all that, I feel most times they influence it, like peers and all that. So I made some kind of decisions while growing up, the kind of friends I wanted to keep, and I was very skeptical about not keeping um the no, I wouldn't say that they were bad, but their influence were bad. So that's why maybe right now I ended up not having much female friends, because that was my decision. Okay, I don't want to keep much female friends because it might expose me to some certain kind of lifestyle. So yeah, it deals a whole lot with your background, your environment, and everything.
okay, so then I have a question. Do you have a lot of male friends then if you don't have a lot of female friends?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah, I do. I do have a lot of male friends, because I work in an I'm a singer too, so yeah, I work more with the guys more than the girls because I get to do more of backup singing for them. So I ended having more male friends, and it actually
Okay.
kept me in a safe space because them my friends also like fought to protect me in a way. So they'll be like, "Oh, this guy, I don't think you understand." You're like, literally show you the red flags before it actually happens. So you are careful of the kind of decisions you make. Yeah.
Okay. I have a different theory on the male friends, and I want to know something about. I want to ask a few more questions. Okay. So,
Yeah.
with your male friends, have you any of your male friends one of the three guys you've dated? Are
No.
they amongst the male friends?
No,
Okay.
no, no. They are different people. Like
Okay. Okay.
having male friends, I actually try as much as possible to draw them closer to my family. That is one thing I do. Like everybody knows these are my friends, and I like
These are
they're
your
like
male friends. Okay.
yeah, they're like kind of brothers to me. So when they come around, they try to bond the same as the way I bond with my brother. So that's like, and I feel another thing is having true friends that are really going to be there for you. So
So I would
having
say this with male friends. I know
yeah
the African culture, especially the Nigerian culture, is probably might be a little different. But what I would also mention is one thing men want to have is a lack of competition. So, and when I say lack of competition, I mean men as they are already have to compete in the world. For example, a man has to compete for the kind of employment he wants to have, right? He has to
yeah
compete for the kind of money he wants to make. He has to compete
yeah
for the status he wants to have. He has to compete for office. I mean, you name it, whatever his goals and his desires and what he's trying to eventually obtain for himself, he has to compete to achieve those things. The one thing he doesn't want to compete for with a woman is her affection or her attention. So when you have a lot of male friends, what that ends up doing is that creates a pseudo competition, even though it's not quote unquote created by you doing it purposely or you doing it because that's what you wanted to create male friend, you want to create competition. You indirectly create competition, and why that happens is because, like you said, when a guy comes in and the intentions might not necessarily be in the best interest of you, your
yeah
friends serve as a gatekeeper, right? Because they quote unquote gatekeep for you. Now, this is going to lead me to what I've always said on my show. If you've seen any of my prior shows, I've always mentioned this, and which is at the end of the day, when you deal in relationships, a man's position is to provide three things for you, right? A man provides three things in every relationship. First, he provides you with provision, second, with protection, and third, with patience, right? Those are the three responsibilities every man has in a relationship. If a man comes in a relationship and he can't protect, provide, or have the patience to allow the relationship to develop, then the relationship is doomed from the start. Well, when
mm,
you have male friends that now do the protection, now all the man is going to need to provide you with is provision and patience. Well, now what you've done is you've created a lack of a reason to need a man. And I can speak from personal experience because I have family members and I have a sister, and she's very similar to you in the sense that she has a lot of friends, but a lot of her friends happen to be male friends as well, mostly platonic. And most of the time, most of these guys probably came in with interest at first, right? Because they had a desire, they saw you and they thought you were attractive, they wanted a chance with you. But over time, they realized that it's probably better. You guys are probably better off as friends because they probably didn't have a shot with you. Basically, they could have not been your type, or they could have just not been they might not have the qualities that you would see in a suitable mate. So you put them in the friend category. So when that happens, what ends up happening is those guys now naturally will compete with any man that comes in your life, because in their mind is, what does this man possess or have that I don't have? And if I see any red flags, I'm going to play gatekeeper, because I feel like as long as I play gatekeeper, now she's probably going to consider me, because she's going to eventually see my worth or my value. Do you see any value in what I'm saying, or what are your thoughts on it?